Let's talk about the Salvation Army. JerryBloom is here. The Salvation Army really does a lot of stuff right here in Santa Clarita as well as all over. Let's welcome Jerry up to the podium and hear about what's going on in the Salvation Army here in Santa Clarita. Come on, Jerry.
I moved here in 1960, moved to Newhall, and graduated from Hart High School in 1961. 5 days later, I joined the Navy, and I've come back on occasion. This last occasion has been for 7 years. And while working for the Salvation Army and running its operations in Ventura, California, where we had a transitional living center and a strong social service work and a church operation, they asked me if I would come to Santa Clarita, of all places, and expand the footprint of what the Army does here. And so it's good to be home and working at home. I have, my dad founded the church in Clarita Canyon when I was a young man. I had hair and was a lot younger than today, for sure. Village Church, my dad was Bob Bloom, and long before there were city councils and that kind of thing, there were, I think it was called the town council or something of that nature, and he was active in that. My son pastors Mission Church in Canyon Country, and my other son ordained minister on staff of Village Church. My sister and brother-in-law, Andre Valuze, happened to pastor the church my dad founded in Clarita Canyon. So I feel like I'm home. I live in Agua Dulce, and I pass by here every night, and I pass by the Salvation Army's thrift store on Canyon Country, and we're working hard to correct some things there at the thrift store. A lot of donations come in overnight, and then they're raffled through, and we're trying to get that situation corrected. And that is a separate profit and loss center for the Salvation Army. Its profits go to support the 6-month resident drug and alcohol program that takes no government funds, 54 men in that program, a 6-month resident program, opportunity to extend during that time, but it supports that, and virtually no cost to the men. There's one in Pasadena that's part of the support, 135 or so residents, and one in Canoga Park, 54. Those are the closest ones to here. And we're proud of that work, and from Santa Clarita, there have been a number of folks, both men and women, who have entered our drug and alcohol rehab and have come back and are living clean and sober lives, and we are pleased with that. And so maybe I would hope that you would know some of those. Maybe one of these days I can come back here and bring a couple testimonials from Santa Clarita. There's some moving testimonies there. Salvation Army this tomorrow night is going to do its first annual kettle kickoff. It's the only fundraiser we do all year long. You're going to see us in front of the Walmart stores, Stater Brothers, Penny's, Macy's, a number of the Ralph's markets. About the middle of December, we're going to be at the Bonds markets. And you'll hear us ringing the bell. I asked someone, Salvation Army suffers from an identity crisis. Maybe the uniform does not help. Somebody thought I flew for Southwest Airlines the other day. And then once in a while at the Sheraton, I get asked to take the bags up to the room, and they get a blank stare from me. I forget about this thing sometimes. But we suffer from an identity crisis. A lot of folks really don't know what we do. And I think for the most part, I'm not being quiet about it right now because I was invited to speak, and I'll quit when it's time to quit too. I'll be glad to. But for the most part, you're not going to hear us talking about what we're doing. We just do it. In fact, we're too busy doing the work to to necessarily advertise it. Anytime you want to come visit us, if you want to volunteer, 22935 Lyons Avenue, right off the corner of Lyons Avenue and Newhall Avenue. We're in a good place. We're in between Jimmy Dean's and the liquor store. And that's a good place to be. There's more than one kind of addiction. And I'm addicted to Jimmy Dean's myself, so I need a 12-step meeting for that. But we're doing a lot of work there. We see 95 persons a week at the Salvation Army Core Community Center. We see 95 individuals a week, and serving them in some kind of social service capacity. 4,915 people to this point this year have we seen for basic social services: grocery orders filled, utility assistance, emergency lodging. We have 4,851 meals, hot meals, that have been served out of that little place right there. There wasn't a kitchen there. That's part of the Axios property there. There wasn't a kitchen there, but some community folks got together and put together a kitchen for us so we can cook some hot meals, and some of it's being done on the kitchen stoves at home and brought in. But we're feeding hungry people. 2,053 beverages and snacks have been given out. Our help to the homeless, it'd be nice if we could do more. You know, there's not an easy solution to the homeless problem. Not just here. We're not unique in that that problem is only in Santa Clarita Valley. But we are trying to win a right to be heard by our homeless community. We do have Salvation Army in LA County has close to 4,000 beds for homeless people, not here in Santa Clarita Valley, but we have often sent to our Bell Shelter folks that were willing to go. Not everybody's willing to go. Sometimes it's going to take a friendly voice and maybe meeting a basic need with a personal hygiene kit or a meal, or we actually have grocery bags, food bags that are filled with meals that a homeless person could almost eat on the spot. I just assume they not eat them right on the spot, but they could. They're pop tops and everything from the beanie weenies to the sardines and that kind of thing. We try to win some influence so that when I suggest a program, we have 4 levels of program at our Bell Shelter in Bell, California, former Army base that the Navy bought there. In fact, helped the children here in town, leases their main warehouse from the Salvation Army there, and we work together with them even in this community to meet needs. Holiday assistance, we're in the middle of that right now. Last year, 373, and we're pretty close to that number now. I just don't have the number yet of those families that applied, but 373 families have applied for holiday assistance, and that means last year was 1,085 children receive, and this is not some other organization somewhere else bringing toys into Santa Clarita Valley. Santa Clarita Valley residents have supplied the gifts, both winter clothing items and toys. Toys, for the most part, that were a preference of either the child or the parents of those child, toys for Christmas time. These are children that might not have anything under the Christmas tree if it hadn't been for someone in Santa Clarita saying, hey, I want to adopt that family. And so 1,050 children's winter clothing items was part of that Christmas effort. 84 gift items for seniors, not seniors in high school, but seniors. There's a lot of there's other work being done to help children and to help seniors. We want to do our part. We want to work with the other agencies, and we're doing that. One of the things we're proud of And I know I'm talking a little bit fast. I don't want to bore you, and I don't want to go too long. But one of the things we're so very proud of, last year, in fact, we were just a little bit over what we had been here the year before. I've been here 3 years now, heading up the Salvation Army's operation. Last year, we sent 163 children from Santa Clarita to 1 week, actually 6 days, of camp at the Salvation Army camp off of Las Virgenes in Malibu Canyon. And I'll tell you what I'd love to do sometime. I'd love to just get a couple big buses and just load Canyon country people up and just take them to the camp and let you see that beautiful, it's like you died and went to heaven. It's a beautiful campground. We actually have 2 camps there. In the past, we used one for social service work, and the other one was for the Salvation Army's church operation. A lot of folks don't realize this. Salvation Army was founded 152 years ago by a Methodist minister. We're one denomination in the overall Christian community, but we believe in meeting human need without discrimination. If you're hurting and if you have a need, we want to be there and a part of the healing and a part of meeting that need. We don't do that all on our own. We do that with this community, a generous community here helping. So we send 163 kids to camp. I love it when that big yellow bus comes up. There's hardly a place to park it when you know where we are, between Jimmy Dean's and liquor store. There's hardly a place to park it there. But I love that, though, and to see the excitement on the kids. You also see those kids that are leaving mom and dad and sometimes it's one or the other. It's a lot of single-parent children. And you watch the tears coming down their eyes as they're separating for the first time. Then I'm on the other end when the yellow bus comes to bring them home, and they're not sure they want to come home. You know, and we know we can't afford to keep them. But they come home to almost a hero's welcome as they come home. And I put it on a video. I think that, I don't know, I think that some of you may have seen it as you've been on our Facebook site. I heard the little boy who just hardly could pull away from mom, get on the bus, and then a week later come back, run into his mama's arms saying, "It's been the best week ever." I'll tell you what, my days are long and we work hard, and I'm not complaining about that. I love what I do. But I'll tell you what, you hear one of those kind of statements, or you see somebody's life being changed because maybe they found recovery at our 12-step meeting that's going on right now while I'm here. When you see those things, that's really the paycheck. In fact, I say to my wife, as we're going down Sierra Highway, we don't get on the freeway very often, as we're going down Sierra Highway towards Agua Dulce, I'll say to my wife, "Hey, wasn't that the paycheck tonight?" Because we heard a testimony of somebody whose life's been made better because we were there and because this community has enabled us to do that. And so tomorrow night we're going to celebrate what the Salvation Army is doing. We're going to have a star. I'm not the star. I didn't work for MGM or anybody else there. But I do have some show business people in my family. Some of you maybe have heard Melody Ranch is owned by part of my family, and Copper Hill Movie Ranch and that kind of thing. But tomorrow night we're going to have Tippi Hedren. You know who that is? You know, I don't follow all the stars. You know, I had to be reminded. You know, she was starred in about 45 different movies she's been in, and she starred in the one called The Birds. And I remember that a little bit. Kind of scared me. Especially when I see them crows out in Agua Dulce. I think of that movie, The Birds. But she's going to be there. We're going to have several of the community leaders there. We'd love for you to be with us. We have a lot of Salvation Army brass band, a contingent, a pretty small contingent of the Rose Parade Band is going to be right there. Hey, you know, Jimmy Dean's don't know they can't use our driveway tomorrow night because we're going to have a band sitting in the middle of it, and we're going to have an exciting, wonderful time. We're going to have the kettle bug there. That's a Volkswagen that looks like a red kettle, you know, and it's amazing. I like driving it. I pretend like I'm a celebrity driving it around town, and people follow me, I lead them right back to the Salvation Army. And so anyway, we're excited about that. I just want to mention this too, and this is part of my heart. This is part of what I do, and a big important part that is what I believe. You know, we can argue about this, I guess, but I believe God called me to it, and that is that I try to provide spiritual counseling and encouragement to everyone that comes in our doors. And I don't care if you want to, the coffee pot's always on. You want to come out someday and just hang out and just watch what happens there. You'll watch people come in defeated sometimes and bowed over and bowed over, and just by being treated with simple human dignity, walk out with their head held high and know that they got some friends and somebody in their corner. And I know there's a lot of good people in this town, but the Salvation Army's part of that group of good people, and it's just our privilege. Last time I was going to be here, we were right on the tail end, maybe in the middle of last month at this time, maybe in the middle of some of those natural disasters that were going on around the United States. Don't want to bore you with this, but again, one of the big efforts, humanity efforts that the Salvation Army does is its emergency disaster relief. And somebody mentioned the earthquake, the 94 earthquake. There at Northridge, the Army was very strong at CSUN there at the campus as it was being a part of that relief effort. But during Hurricane Maria, which was the last one, our Salvation Army was there providing over 15,000 clothing articles. There was 3,336 food boxes. We like to count things, right? 336 food boxes that meant 53,000 meals that was comprised in those food boxes. 26,950 hot meals were provided, those on the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Hurricane Irma, much bigger situation, 341,630 meals, 500-some thousand drinks, 336,000 snacks, emotional and spiritual care, just somebody to talk to. People lost everything. Sometimes they lost loved ones. Somebody to talk to. 28,107 people were ministered to by our chaplains out there in the disaster relief. Hurricane Harvey, 901,000 meals the Salvation Army served. We have these big 40-foot vans that can put out 3,000 meals an hour. Just a tremendous effort. I wasn't there. In fact, we were maybe going to have, this last month I was going to be here. Lieutenant Hector Acosta, Salvation Army officer in Lancaster, spent 3 weeks in the Harvey relief. You want an exciting program, you have him bring his pictures and talk about that. Again, 129,000 service hours offered by Salvation Army officers, staff, and volunteers. They're doing a great work. There's probably been more said about what the Salvation Army is doing in these past 10 minutes than you've heard all your life. I said what to a lady the other day, I said, what do you know about the Salvation Army? She patted me on the stomach, and she said, oh, you're the guys that do Santa Claus in front of the stores. I never did a Santa Claus in front of the store. I've been part of the Army since 1997. Yes, you're thinking of the Volunteers of America. The Salvation Army looks pretty much like this, or has the shield. That's, in fact, one of the most popular brands in the United States is the Salvation Army shield. Anyway, we'd love to see you tomorrow night between 5 and 7, 22935 and Lyons Avenue. And thank you for letting me. I want a job where they pay me by the word. Huh? Yeah. Maybe Councilman Miranda, too. He would like that. Okay. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
You never said where you were from.
Oh,
We know
okay.
you're not from New York.
Okay, so I am from Los Angeles. I was born in Venice, California. We talk about age. That's 1943, February 1st. That means I'm going to be 75 years old, February 1st of next year. And but my folks, part of my growing up was in Burbank. In the middle of my senior year, my folks took me to the Sticks. You know where the Sticks were? Newhall. My first day at Hart High School. Some of you maybe remember this gentleman, Mr. Baker, who was the dean of students there at Boys Dean. I think he's a Boys Dean there. There had been a problem with students from other schools coming on the campus. And he approached me right in my face and he said, "What school are you from?" And I hadn't been there long enough to know the name of the school. I mean, I didn't want to be there to start with. You know, they moved me from Burbank High School. I said, "I don't know the darn name of that." I didn't say darn. I said another word. And I got sent home that day, my first day at school, and they sent me home. I ran away from school, home. The Bamboo Cafe. Anybody remember the Bamboo Cafe? Okay, I wrote a note on a napkin to my dad. I said, "I'm an adult now. I can take care of myself." And I went and put the napkin on my foot. My folks moved to Benelli Track. That was the first tract of homes out here. I put the note on my dad's, on the kitchen counter, and I took off. I went back. I lived in my girlfriend's garage there for about 3 days before my dad caught up with me. And anyway, I'm at home, all right? I'm at home right here in Santa Clarita Valley. I love it here, and it's grown on me every day. And I just thank you for letting me be a crazy person out here telling you what we love what we're doing. God bless.
I'm just not real familiar with what you actually do out here in Santa Clarita. So I know where your office is there in Newhall, but what exactly do you do there? And do you have,
We have a.
do you interact with the homeless here in
Yes.
Santa Clarita at that facility?
Yes,
And
we do. Yeah,
do you integrate with
Well, we have a
Bridge
large
to
food-
Home, or what? Do you integrate your services with Bridge to Home, or?
We do integrate our service with Bridge to
I-
Home and with
I don't
Shaw
know
the Family.
anything about
Well,
other than
everything that I
the
told
place
you
on
we're
Sierra
doing.
Highway and on Lyons. I don't know what exactly. what
Okay,
you
everything I told you we're doing. Those 4,851 meals came right out of that facility right there. Thursday night we have a meal. We call it Super Supper. Super, SOUPER. Super Supper. That's a community meal, and we feed anybody that's hungry. Sometimes it's not hungry for food. Sometimes it's just hungry for a friendly voice. But we are feeding out of that facility. We have a large social service office there. Our adult rehabilitation center. We are doing case management for them. I also do counseling as a chaplain at the center, but we also do it here. We have 12-step meetings. We are basic social services. Those 373 families this last year, those were interviewed. Those we take an application that is basically just for information's sake. We're trying to be sure we're not duplicating assistance to people, so that those at Salvia that are getting served when it's back to school time, they're not getting double served over here and somebody else isn't getting served at all. We work as a collaboration with other organizations here in town, other churches, and we have 170 nonprofits right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. There is some duplication of effort. If you talk to any one of them and what they're doing, they want to work together all the more. We got to keep the wheels of that grease so that we are working together and that we're not just. Well, we call it it's to be a hand up and not a handout. And so it's important that we're meeting needs and not just making people dependent upon our food pantry. But we're open actually 5 days a week for the social service, and then on Sundays we started I don't get into this a whole lot because Salvation Army is known for its social service work and its disaster relief work. We got a lot of good press this last several disasters. That's not a good way to get it, but we got it because we were on the job. Guess what? We were there a week before Hurricane Harvey. A week before Hurricane Harvey went through Texas. We were there before. And guess where we are now? We're still there. We're still there. The Salvation Army, there isn't a county in the United States that the Salvation isn't there meeting human needs, providing relief, and that's what we're doing all over the country. 128 nations. Yes, ma'am. We do have a Sunday service. I might mention we started with 4 people 2 years ago. Sunday services. I think last Sunday we had 87 people there. A good half of them are brand new to faith of any kind. Okay? Somebody asked me what it's like. I said it's like a meringue on a lemon meringue pie. It's real sweet, real airy. Don't blow on it. Okay? But it's nice, and we see some good things happening and lives really being changed by their faith. There is no cover charge, no.
The other question is, in my business, I come across a lot of seniors that have a lot of pride. They're elderly, have a lot of medical issues, but they don't necessarily reach out. But I see them with more month left than money left, and some of them actually go hungry for like maybe a week or more at a time. Can I refer them?
Absolutely. In fact, right here are my business cards. Talk about identity crisis. I just got these cards, and I noticed that they put my cell phone as the fax number. I put my cell phone on here because I want you to be able to reach me anytime, day or night. I make more sense at 9 a.m. than I do at 2 a.m., okay? So maybe you can call me at 9 a.m.
Let's give Jerry one hand.